Hello, and welcome to 90 Day Fiance MK. I'm Mr. O, and today, Ms. H and I will be discussing Season 7, Episode 11 of 90 Day Fiance. In this episode, Michael and Juliana's wedding is almost here, Blake and Jasmin almost go to a birthday party, Emily goes wedding dress shopping, and Tania and Syngin have an astrology reading. We'll talk about all that, plus the other couples, and as always, we'll end with our class dunce, students of the week, and life lessons. Also, a quick technical note. We had a little bit of a snafu in recording, so if you notice a drop in audio quality, specifically on Ms. H's end, it'll be fixed by next week. Okay, stay tuned and enjoy.
Hello, Mr. O.
Hello, Miss H.
How are you today?
I'm good because today was a day off for me. We're recording this on Martin Luther King Day, so
yes,
that's always a good day.
Yeah, it is a good day. All right. So I gotta remember what it is that we're talking about today. Oh, we're talking about the new episode.
The new episode of 90 Day. Yes, that's correct.
Yes, we are talking about the new episode. Okay, before we jump in, we have kind of an exciting announcement. We have decided to expand a little bit, and we are planning on covering Love After Lockup. So it's going to take us a little while to get caught up, mostly from Mr. O's side, because Mr. O has never watched the show before. So I have somehow dragged him into this, and we'll be releasing our first new episode next week. So that will affect everyone else who doesn't watch Love After Lockup, because that means after we finish wrapping up this current season for our 90-day classic, we'll be taking a break until Life After Lockup, their hiatus.
Yes. Yeah. So, Miss H convinced me. She got me a taste on the gateway drug of 90 Day Fiance. And now we're going to be moving on to the harder stuff. It's definitely harder stuff. It's a lot more extremes than we see on this show.
Yeah, it'll be good. All right, so speaking of this show, we're still talking about 90 Day Fiancé right now. So,
that's right.
Do we just want to start with Mike and Natalie?
Yeah, we'll start with Mike and Natalie.
Yeah, they were kind of a bummer. So, I mean...
Very much a bummer.
At least we don't have Anna Mursal this episode. So we at least got rid of, like, the major bummers. But now we're still having to deal with Mike and Natalie.
Uh-huh. And I feel like production kind of trolled us a little bit, because I could have sworn last week it ended Mike and Natalie with him getting in the car or the Uber or whatever to go to the airport. And the car pulled off. I swear the car drove away last week, right?
Right.
And then this week, we kind of start with the same thing, but Natalie gets in the car before it leaves.
Okay, was it just my imagination, or did production also replay almost that entire second half of the argument?
Yes.
Because when I first started watching the episode, I was really confused. I was like, wait, is this an old episode or a new episode? Haven't we already seen this? How is he back out of the car, like, talking to her again? I was really confused what was going on. And I fast forwarded for a couple minutes before I saw Natalie run out to the car. And then I was like, okay, whoa. This is a new episode.
Didn't happen.
So I had to rewind. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole part where she was like, let's stop this farce. You must apologize. That was all from the last episode.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And it was weird that they pulled it like it was new and didn't just show it in the, the recap. They do that thing where they go into like a black and white video. So like we know, oh, this already happened. But I mean, it's not even black and white. It's like washed out colors.
So Natalie goes after him, and she gets in the car, and she admits that maybe she was a little wrong too. So at this point, she's trying to just make things seem like they're okay before he leaves.
Yes.
She makes little comments like, he's being like that because he's younger instead of being an older man.
Isn't he like 2 years younger than her? It's not even like anything, right?
No, yeah. And then she's just trying to, just say things that, like, to get things, like, more lighthearted. She's trying to say things that was like, everybody loves you, like, your parents love you, just people, you're loved. And he is just not amused.
No. It really did sound like, he mentioned it sounded childish, and it really did sound like something like Elmo would tell you on Sesame Street. Like, you're very special. Everyone loves you. Isn't this great? People care about you too. Like, which was that she still doesn't understand why he's upset at all.
So he's mad. He doesn't want to kiss her. He says that she's acting childish in the car. But at the same time, I kind of felt like he was also acting like a spoiled brat. Instead of trying to start a conversation to resolve, he was just kind of like, almost like he didn't actually have it, but like arms crossed, like pouting mode.
Yes.
I'm just not going to even respond to you. So, just quit acting like a child. Well, it's like, all right, well then help her stop continuing this by actually communicating.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he didn't even know what he was feeling. And so, like, it's really hard to communicate when you're not, like, in touch with your own, feelings and emotions. Because he even said that in one of the interviews. Like, he was just like, I'm going through a lot of emotions. There's a lot of stuff. I don't know, dude. That's all I got. That's it, dude. Like, he had no idea what he's even feeling, and so he can't even communicate to her what it is that's bothering him and why he's acting like he is. But that's again something that's kind of childish.
Sure, and I guess that's fair, if he just needs time to process, but I feel like he should just tell her that, like, listen, I'm processing something. It doesn't mean that I'm necessarily going to stay mad, but I'm trying to figure out my feelings right now. Like, I just need a little bit of space, and it doesn't mean that this is the end of things. I just need to think about what's going on, because I think that's what she's kind of scared about, and why she keeps on talking and like trying to get him to talk is kind of going back to that. She wants some reassurance that their relationship is okay, or at least kind of in an okay place, because she's just worried that he's leaving right now. And, if he leaves in a bad mood and acts like mad, it's like, oh, well, I guess this is over, ?
Right. It's kind of that, like, some people have the policy of, like, never go to bed angry, which, like, doesn't work, because being in a fight and tired at the same time is not going to help your fight.
Right.
And so, I mean, it's similar, but she also acts, as much as he acts that way, as much as he gets pouty and moody and, standoffish, she does the same thing, because he says something like, you're being childish, and she immediately just goes into pout mode herself. Just like, like walks away. It's like, some of the things about them, they deserve each other.
Right. But I think, like, in a way that the reason why they behave this way, like all pouty, is because it works. As soon as, one of them acts pouty, the other one all of a sudden becomes attentive. And is like, what's wrong? Let's fix this. Let's make you feel better. And then, that person will feel better. And then the other person acts pouty and it goes the other way, So the only reason why they keep doing it is because it works. I mean, they're being pouty because they want attention. They want to feel like they were right about something. So they're at the airport.
Right. And he's just kind of like glowering behind her when she's doing her interview.
Yes, that was so weird. Yeah. Like mad dogging her from across the room. It was so weird. I was like, okay, why don't you just go along your merry way?
Why doesn't he get on the plane? I guess they were like, don't get on the plane yet. Don't go yet. Don't go through security yet. Because they can't go through security, the production crew. So they have to take care of all their stuff out in that area. But I don't know, just the way they kind of set it up, where it just seemed like he was like just death staring her from this like airport pool. It was weird.
Right. So she kind of repeats in the interview as he's across the way, like staring her down, that love doesn't come right away. And then after that, she runs over and tries to, one last time say goodbye, wants to give him a hug or something.
I think she says, kiss me in the cheek or something, or hug me. She demands some sort of physical assurance. I would say she demands some sort of physical assurance that he refuses to give her. I think it was give me a kiss. I think she said kiss me.
And then he says, oh, it's your attitude, which is just like, oh my gosh. Okay, and then, he repeats that she acts like a little kid, doesn't take things seriously. But now he's like, okay, well, you can walk me to the gate. And she was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And now I'm not going to give you a hug. I wanted you to give me a kiss a minute ago, but now I don't even want to give you a hug. It's like, would you two just stop it?
I know.
They're very frustrating.
They are very frustrating, but they also should break up. Like, they shouldn't be together anymore. Like, so if that's what ends up happening, then that's okay.
Yeah, so if you want to skip, I guess, 15 seconds-ish. So the spoiler is that they were spotted at the Seattle airport, frauded by TLC, posted, and so it looks like Natalie is in the U.S., so it must be that her visa came through.
Must be. That's what you would guess.
So, wow. So anyways, we're now back in Washington. We're back in Squim with Beaux.
Back in Squim with Beaux and a giant glass of whiskey. First thing he does when he gets home.
On a Sunday morning?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Because he's over for Sunday morning pancakes.
Sunday morning pancakes.
It's a tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And they have a very dude conversation about, like, what happened. In that, what actually happened never actually got discussed in any detail. And they just kind of, like, went, yep, at each other for, like, I don't know, like 5 minutes.
Well, I mean, the detail was more so in what Beaux did last night. He lost $25 at the casino, and he needs a withdrawal from the Bank of Mike.
From the Bank of Mike.
Yep, but Mike says banks are closed on Sunday, so sorry, dude.
I guess they have casinos up there. They have casinos everywhere now, you know?
Yeah, they really do.
It used to be a thing.
I would think so, especially because I know there's a lot of Indian reservations up in Washington.
Right. That's what I would guess.
So, Beaux, he says he knows how and what women are. So, I think it's really funny that they have to subtitle Beaux.
Constantly, like, more than the people who don't speak English. Yeah.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Or has a thick accent or something. So
I thought it was funny that he's a wolf shirt guy. He's a wolf shirt man. Like, that's what Beaux is all about. But I thought it was funny how, like, you could tell how upset Mike is by how many times he says dude in a sentence. Like, the more upset he gets, he's like, I don't know, dude. It's just dude. Things are dude, not so great, dude. It's like, oh man, he's really angry. Yeah,
I was gonna say, is that how guys kind of talk to each other about girl problems? Because it was very, very high level. Like, dude, you know how it is.
I know, man.
How women are. It's like, well, what was the problem exactly?
No, that's pretty much it. That's the level of detail that you get.
It was kind of like this. Dude, women, right?
Right. Yeah, I know, bro.
Right. Dude. Yeah. Yeah, that was their conversation. I was like, okay.
Tell me about it, man. Like, that's it. Yeah, pretty much it. That's what we get.
You really worked that out with each other. Good job.
Yeah, this is why men all end up it's sad and alone, but this is why we end up with all these violence problems, bottling everything up. We have no idea how to discuss our problems with anybody else.
Right. Maybe you all should get some, like, friends that actually kind of ask you more detailed questions about that, whether it's other women or, I don't know, a guy who maybe is a little bit more verbal than Beaux, perhaps.
Perhaps.
But Beaux, he's offering his support anyway because he says, dude, I'll pray for you. And then Mike is just like, laughs at that because he's like, wow, that's part of the problem, dude. Part of the problem.
Right. Unless he's praying to the aliens. We never know.
Right. The ancient aliens. Then he's down with that. All right. Who do you want to talk about next?
All right. Let's go to Michael and Juliana.
Okay. So they are getting ready for their wedding.
Yeah. It's so weird. It seems like they're so much farther ahead of schedule than all the other couples. Like, their wedding day before the wedding day, stuff going on. Right. Everybody else is like, I don't know.
Are we going to get married or aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think also production's been trying to tease that, like Juliana being like, oh, I can't get married right, now like this.
Right.
And it's like.
Yeah, that's a stupid little tease. Yeah. She meant like, I need to stop crying in like 5 minutes and I'll walk out. Like, it wasn't like.
Yeah. Like, there was never any drama between her and Michael. So the night before, Michael's hanging out with his brother, Matt. And his friend Clay.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt looks just like Michael.
Exactly like Michael. Mm-hmm.
Yep. That was kind of, just a brief hangout clip.
Yeah. The fact that he looks exactly like his brother was pretty much the
only notable thing
from that clip.
Sure. Yeah. That's what I had in my notes. I was like, wow, they really look alike.
Yeah. And then the brother was like, this wedding's going to be more chill than the first wedding, right? Like, that's...
Right. That was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have Max and Cece in an interview together asking each other about the remarriage. Max says, he's happy. Juliana and his dad, they're happy together. He really likes Juliana. He's excited he gets to speak in the wedding.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And Cece's like, wait, what? You get to speak in the wedding? What
you
about
get to speak at the wedding? What? I mean, I would let Max speak at that wedding. He's probably better than he's better than 2/3 of the people on the show at speaking.
He is very articulate.
Definitely.
Yes,
yeah.
Definitely. Cece brings up something interesting, and I think this kind of go back to, and we've talked about this before, like, they're definitely privy to adult conversations. So is this something that Cece's coming up with on her own, or because she's heard the adults talk about this? But Cece says, she's nervous because of how other people might perceive Michael and Juliana as a couple. And so I'm assuming like, oh, the age difference. So the fact that, you know, you have this beautiful young model type with her older dad. It's kind of like, Cece, did you come up with that on your own, or have you heard people talking about this?
Right. Well, it kind of reminded me of, because we had covered it back in season 1 when we met Louis and Aya, and that was like, the first thing he talked to his boys about was like, have you guys ever heard of a mail order bride? There might be some people who think it's like, whoa, this is not a necessary conversation to have.
So Michael's saying, have you ever heard of a gold digger? Do you know what a gold digger is?
Just in case somebody might say something, yeah.
Have you heard of trophy wife? Do you know what these things are?
Right. Did you see Max, though, on Instagram was really mad that I guess at that point he had plugged his Instagram and TLC cut it. He was like... I told them to keep it.
It's for the best.
Oh, it definitely is for the best. Absolutely. 100% on TLC for that. Yes. Don't let this boy.
Why are you 12 trying to get all these followers? Because then you're going to have creepers like Laura, you know, trying to slip into your DMs. Like, you don't need that at 12.
He does not need that. There's adults that can't handle the social media aspect of this job.
Right. And I feel like there's also like user rules that obviously people don't really follow, but isn't it a thing like you have to be either 13 or 15 to be able to be a user on Instagram and Facebook?
Yeah, I think it's 13.
Yeah, and granted, it's one of those things where, you know, people obviously don't follow them. I mean, I have some friends that are setting up Instagram and Facebook for their infant children, and obviously they're not using it, but, you know, with the idea of handing it over to them. So, I mean...
Well, there's also dogs that have Instagrams, so I don't think the dog is good at curating their social media consumption.
Sure. So it was nice that Juliana had some people there with her to support her. So she had her friend Kusi, which is an interesting name, who was visiting from Milan, and Paula.
Right, and was Paula was even from Korea, or was she around like, or was she she was, I don't know if she came from Brazil, but she was like a Brazilian friend. It's weird she has, obviously because she does the modeling all over, she has friends all over the world. Like they're scattered around the globe.
So we cut to Michael, and he says that he had 2 tuxedos prepared. One was his aspirational tuxedo, you know, the one that if he had lost weight he would be wearing. Well, it looks like he's wearing his backup tuxedo. The
one that's the same size as the shirts he usually wears, I assume.
Oh goodness. Yeah. So then we have Juliana getting ready for the wedding, and she is starting to get a little upset because, you know, her family isn't really even acknowledging that this is her wedding day. So she understands that, you know, they can't come out. And I think they even said in a previous episode that it was probably better that they didn't come out to see the extravagant wedding. Because they didn't want to, you know, have that and, you know, that jealousy or getting extorted for money or anything like that. But she really wanted her mom to see her with her wedding dress. And it occurred to me, too, that I don't think her parents went to the first wedding with her religious cult guy.
Probably not.
Yeah, courthouse wedding. So it's like, I don't know, it just seems like they've missed 2 opportunities now to support their daughter.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's definitely one of those things. There's not even a time zone issue. Like Brazil, I think, I mean, depending on where they are in Brazil, but it's like 1 or 2 hours ahead of East Coast. It's not a thing. Like, that's not a big deal. But yeah, she gets no text from anybody in her family. No text, no phone calls, which is right. Because she has brothers and sisters too. It's not just mom and dad.
Right. It is odd that no one from her family is even well-wishing or anything. Right. It just seems so odd. Yeah. So, what did you think of her dress?
So we had seen it before, but it looked a lot different when she put the tiara on. It really looked more complete. I don't know. She's so skinny that like you could pretty much make anything look good on her.
Sure. I thought it made her look very like classy and kind of almost like royal, like very Kate Middleton kind of came to mind with like the long sleeves.
Yes, definitely.
I would say that when they did close-ups on the lace wasn't the nicest kind of lace, but it definitely from afar looked really nice, and I think that's what she was going for. I mean, she even said that she wanted to feel and look like a princess, and I think mission accomplished.
I thought it was funny when she was putting on her dress that Cece was like, I'm totally freaking out. Like, all the people to be freaking out. Yeah. Cece.
So as soon as she's like almost ready to go, Kusi has a video of well-wishers, which are pretty much all of her friends that, you know, just sent in a little clip of, you know, them saying, you know, that they're wishing them luck, and it made her feel really special. But she was kind of upset that no one in her family was in the video montage that Kusi, or the video collection that she's showing her. So then Juliana can't stop crying.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was a little bit of both. I think she started crying because she was like, you know, touched by the sentiment of everyone talking to her.
Tears of happiness, definitely.
And then later it was kind of like, it was like a double complicated feelings because she was touched by the sentiment, but also really upset that nobody in that video was her family.
Sure. And so regardless of why she was crying, she's crying. And so that...
After her makeup's all done.
Yes. So that makes it so she's not exactly camera ready. So this is the reason why she's like, okay, I need to fix my face before we get this started. Not, oh, I'm having second thoughts about Michael. I can't possibly go through with this right now. So it's definitely just like a makeup. I just need to like get it together, you know, rein in the emotions before I go out.
Yeah. But I don't know. They also played with. I guarantee they kind of played with showing Michael on the altar waiting, and
oh yeah.
No matter when the wedding gets started, there's always the groom waiting at the altar.
Sure. And come on, you couldn't do something with your hair on the day of the wedding. It just looks like a random like hairpiece like stuck to the top of his head. It's like, come on, dude.
Does he wear a hairpiece? Do we know that? Maybe he does.
I don't think he has a hairpiece. I wouldn't assume it's a hairpiece, but it's like, come on, like let's get a little product, or you could have got a haircut before.
A haircut at least.
It just looked like this independent poof on the top of his head. And it looks like Sarah's officiating after all. She was up there at the altar.
I did notice that she was up there getting ready, and they mentioned that in the next time on.
Yes, especially with Juliana bonding with Sarah a little bit more. She's probably more okay with Sarah being in their pictures.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's right. That was the original thing. I don't want her in my pictures.
Right. Yeah. Which I think is still really weird, even if they're besties.
Yeah, it's still a little weird, but there's also a lot of times the photographers are usually pretty good at getting angles where you can't really see the officiant, because it's also weird to be like, here's a random person we haven't seen before or since that's in all of our wedding pictures. Like,
oh, yeah, that's
there's going to
true.
be some that have him in there, but they're really good at, doing like the over-the-shoulder shots and stuff like that, focusing on each individual person, where there'll be plenty of pictures that aren't, where she's not there.
Sure. I think that's it for them, because we didn't quite get to the wedding yet.
No, it seems like they saved the wedding for next time, or 2 times. The next time we see them.
So who do you want to talk about next?
Oh, let's see. Let's go to Sasha and Emily.
Okay, I was just gonna say that. Speaking of wedding dresses,
I actually thought that this is the best they've made Sasha look anytime. I'm not saying he looked fantastic, but of all the segments we've had of Sasha specifically, this was like, I feel like they were like trying to give him a little bit of a, not redemption, but show a different side of him that isn't what we've been seeing so far.
Okay, are we talking about his personality or look?
Personality.
Okay, but I think that's because he was barely in any of these segments, so it's easy to look, good if you're not there.
There was only 2 segments. There was the one where they were walking around that weird rose garden, and he was like actually having a conversation with Emily, and they were talking about things, and like he had a vision for the future that involved both of them, and wasn't just like throwing away food and going to the gym.
Sure. Okay, so they go to visit Portland for a few days, and this is after they leave Betsy's from the last time they were on. They just kind of needed some space from Betsy because Sasha and Betsy were at it, and so they decided to go to Portland. He says he loves it there. It's green, calm, and peaceful, and he just feels like a whole new person. But then Emily brings up like reality. She says, oh, we need to be thinking about money because Sasha can't work and that she has to take care of the baby. But Sasha, he has no worries. He says, oh, it'll be fine. We just need a little bit more time. Yeah, I'll get a job,
Right.
And so, because of all of this, Emily says they should get married faster because that means Sasha will be able to get a job sooner because they'll be able to apply for the green card. So she says they should get married ASAP.
Well, the funniest part of that, yeah, sure. Okay.
Okay.
just okay.
Yeah.
And she's really upset, but she's like, wait, that was your response to let's get married like immediately? You're just like, yeah, whatever. Okay. Just nod, smile and nod, go along with it.
Right.
And the reason is because he had no idea what ASAP meant at all.
No, he didn't.
And he was just going with the flow.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, sure. And then she tells him, and then she was like, well, why didn't you say if you didn't understand? And he's like, you should be teaching me these things. You didn't teach me what ASAP was. It's like, oh my goodness. So they're trying to justify to themselves why they don't need a fancy wedding, why it's okay that they're doing this kind of like quickie wedding thing, quickie planning, quickie execution, right. You know, and I don't know, it seems like Emily is like, oh, you know, as long as, you know, these certain elements are in it, I'll be fine. But it seems like she's the kind of person who had her whole wedding planned out, and this is not, you know, what she envisioned, but she's trying to be okay with it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, it really, really felt like when she was trying to convince us that the small wedding was okay, she was really trying to convince herself that the small wedding was okay. It was very much like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Like,
right. So they're going to get married in Portland, but then they go back to South Bend, Indiana, where Emily goes shopping, dress shopping, your favorite thing ever.
My favorite.
With Betsy.
Yeah, and that's when they're trying to really sell the low-key wedding. And like, yeah, I don't know. I really did like this whole, I like this scene a lot. I like a lot about the scene. I love the shop lady. I love her interactions. It was great.
Yeah. So Emily tries on her first dress, and, you know, Emily is still trying to hold on to this dream of like, okay, well, at least need a really beautiful dress. And to her, beautiful is fancy. And Betsy's kind of like trying to be realistic about it. Like, listen, if you're having this quickie wedding, you know, you're probably going to want something a little bit more casual. So Emily comes out with the first dress, and it's just like a lot of sparkle.
Very much sparkle. Well,
backless. And I did not like it.
Yeah. Well, okay. So part of the problem is her hair color, right?
Yes,
which she had dyed,
agreed.
is like that super, super white blonde. And so every dress she tried on, I felt like she looked like Daenerys Targaryen, Mother of Dragons. Like, she just came out every dress. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, but it's like everything was just blended in. It was like her hair was blending into her dress, which was blending into her skin, because her skin was kind of the same color too. So it's almost like it didn't even matter what she put on. I agree. It was like that lack of contrast with her hair just, made it look very weird.
Everything was washed out. Yep.
Yes, definitely washed out. So she tries on a second dress, and I thought the second dress was a little bit better. Betsy was, and then that's when Betsy says she's concerned about the type of dress. And then Emily just gets annoyed at this point. She's like, you don't always have to be so negative.
Yeah, you don't have to be a Debbie Downer about everything.
And so then after Emily says that, that's when Betsy brings up that, well, you know, maybe you have the right dress, but do you have the right groom?
Yeah.
You know? So it's only after she says that she's negative does she bring up the groom comment.
Right. Well, that's funny, 'cause that's when they went to the shop lady, who was just like, they seemed so sweet. Like, I didn't get it.
Right.
There was a lot of tension in that room, and they both seemed so sweet.
Yeah, she's like, but it was so weird because they talked so nicely to each other. Yeah.
I love that part. I just like, because, you know, the shop lady is there, you know, she agrees to be on the show to help her business, I imagine, right? Yes. That's the only reason she's there. And just to be like, they were kind of mean. Because she should be just like, oh, we were helping them find a dress, and it was great. And I'm sure they I'm sure all the shop people like try to, oh, this shop is the most, and talk about their business, and they just cut it all out and just leave that part. But I really liked her little segment there. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, she was great. So then Emily finally tries on a dress that it seems like both of them agree on, and then Betsy cries. So, you know, because she's just overwhelmed with, oh, Emily looks so beautiful, and then Betsy crying makes Emily feel supported, and this kind of goes back to something we always say. Why does crying mean the other person cares?
I don't know. And this one I really didn't get this one because she was wearing the dress and they were both like, meh. And then she put on the veil. And as soon as she put on the veil, it was like, oh no, it's real.
Oh my gosh.
Cry.
Oh, I really care about you. Oh, Betsy really cares. It's like, oh my gosh. Maybe Betsy's crying because she's like, oh my God, it's real. This is really happening.
It's
I'm
really,
scared for your
you're
life.
going to marry this psycho. And
I know.
Years to deal with this.
Yeah.
All right, so who do you want to cover next?
Let's talk Michael and Angela. Okay, so kind of going back, her track marks that she was saying from Botox, that's crazy. And so then I did a little bit of digging because I was like, what is going on? Like, Botox doesn't look like that. And then I think I saw on Instagram somewhere that some podcast was saying, and I honestly can't remember who, otherwise I would give them credit, that it was laser, that it was like a laser like for reducing wrinkles, and it wasn't Botox, because Botox wouldn't look like that, because they literally were track marks.
And I am totally not surprised by that, because Angela, when she speaks, is not precise in her language. And to say it was every anti-wrinkle thing is Botox, I could totally see her doing that. Especially because she keeps mentioning that she's going to the embassy in Lagos. There is no embassy in Lagos, because Lagos is not the capital of Nigeria. There is a consulate in Lagos.
Yes. Okay. That's a good point. So Angela, maybe just kind of generalizing here.
Yes.
Sure.
Right. So that's the kind of stuff I noticed. She's not precise in her language. So yes, saying the laser thing is Botox. Totally get.
Yeah, I can kind of see that too, because I think other people are guilty of it too. It's like, what word is kind of recognizable? Like, everybody calls it Xerox, right? Let's Xerox this paper or something. But, Xerox is a brand. What you really mean is like photocopy or copy something.
Or copy, right. Well, it's funny though. I think it's just funny the way the show, kind of a side note, the way they blur out things. Yeah. But like, people say they're gonna like Uber and they're gonna like, Cash App something, like say that, like they say the names of like products, but like if somebody's wearing like a polo shirt, they blur it out.
Yeah. So yes, Angela, she is going to storm the embassy. She wants to see an officer, and once again, as Mr. O pointed out, she really means consulate. But she keeps on saying, my embassy. I'm going to go to my embassy. It is, once again, she's talking about her rights. It's my right to go to my embassy and see what's going on with my petition.
Right. Right. And then, it's all that. And then she's like, and then they asked me if it was an emergency. And I said, it's an emergency to me. And I was like, that's not what emergency means. Like,
no, it's not.
They meant, when they say, like, when you go to the consulate and is it an emergency, means like, are they putting them in jail? Like, is their life in danger? Right. That's what emergency means.
Is your life in danger? Sure. Absolutely. So she goes to the consulate. She's there for 15 minutes and she walks back out, and Michael is not standing at the gate waiting for her. So then already she starts off at Michael. She's mad that he's not there. Where were you? Why weren't you waiting for me? Like, well, we don't know how long you're going to be in there.
Exactly.
So he's just supposed to stand right next to the gate. All right.
Especially if you were going to assume she was going to be able to see an officer. It would take way longer than she was actually there, given that she didn't even get to go in.
So she doesn't get to see anyone. So she's mad that she can't just see someone. And they basically told her, here, email this person and you can set up an appointment or request an appointment. And so then she brings up, it's my right as the petitioner to find out more about the interview. And she goes on and on about her rights.
It could be policy that the petitioner gets to see the interview, but given the way she's abused the word right before, I don't trust that at all.
I think she has no rights in this case. Yeah, exactly. So then we skip over to, Michael tells her at that point, we're going to go have dinner with my family. So it's customary, according to Michael, for her to always bring gifts anytime they have a visit with Michael's mom. But I don't think the gifts are extravagant, is what Michael is saying.
Yeah. Actually, what I kind of get is because she's gone most of the time and she only sees mother-in-law, once every couple months, that like you owe a bigger gift. Like if you saw her every week, you would have to bring her like a little thing and that'd be fine or whatever, right? But since you only see her like twice a year, then when you do see her, like you have to make up for, they have to like add up to what you would have given her piecemeal over the course of a year.
I didn't like how Michael dealt with this. So they go to a store, which is questionably a store. I was kind of confused by it. It was almost like they had one of everything in this like very, very small shop space.
Yeah, it almost looked like somebody's back room where they were selling stuff that quote unquote fell off the truck.
Yeah, and it could have been because the negotiating of the price of things definitely kind of went that way.
Yeah, I expected a little bit more haggling, but man, he was happy because he starts off. Well, first of all, they're gonna get a microwave for Michael's mom. for mother-in-law. That's what she's wanted for a long time. And Michael's like, this is the time to get it. But they also have to get something for Michael's aunt because she's hosting the event.
But Angela doesn't find this out until after she's trying to negotiate prices about the microwave. And then Michael says, whoa, we also have to throw in something else for my aunt. And Angela's like, wait, what? Okay, so now I'm not only buying a microwave, but now I have to buy this electric kettle?
Yeah.
What's happening right now?
What's going
on?
on?
The price is right. Slow your roll.
Especially because she, he quoted her the microwave at what was it, 30,000 naira?
Yes, 30,000.
30,000, which was Michael said 95. I looked at the exchange rate, it's 80 something, which isn't absurd for a microwave.
No.
It's more than I would probably pay if I was getting a microwave for somebody, but not ridiculous. But, Angela drives a hard bargain. She only has 15,000 naira in her tits, so she pulls that out.
And she managed to get a microwave and an electric kettle.
Yeah,
and a promise to come back.
Oh, yeah, because it's the first time. It's a one time deal. You have to come back and buy more stuff. That's right. Yeah. So he was looking to haggle, and she probably could have got it for less. I think she could have got it done for less. Anytime on the first response, the guy's like, yeah, I'll take that. That's good. That means you didn't haggle well enough.
No. But I guess it's okay. In the US, $40 for a microwave would be a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it actually is.
I think 50 or 60 is how much microwaves usually are around here.
That's about right.
Well, the little standalone ones. If you want one that's the proper wall-mounted ones that are over the range ones, those ones are a little bit more.
That's because they have the fans built into them usually.
Fan underneath, yeah. Okay, so she just wants to visit with the family. She doesn't want to talk about the visa.
Mm-hmm. So, which of course means that's not going to happen. I didn't catch the names.
I don't know how to pronounce it. It looks like a Duke, but I don't think it's pronounced that way. A Duque would be my guess.
Okay.
Mama. Who cares what her name is? We just call her Mama. She loves Angela,
yeah.
But she does like the gifts too.
She says, I love her because she gives me the big gifts, but I also just like her.
Which is kind of interesting because she doesn't have a super expressive... It's not like she's always smiling or anything. She kind of looks neutral sometimes, so it's kind of hard to read if she's really into her, but she says she is.
She says she is, yeah. I can see that. It's Angela is with nothing but she's a strong-willed person. And I can see
definitely
being that's good for my son. Someone who is going to put him in his place and set him where he needs to go.
Well, I think the other thing with Angela is she definitely was raised to respect her elders. I think the issue right now is that there aren't a whole lot of people in her orbit that are older than her.
True.
So she doesn't show a lot of respect for anyone else. And I don't know how Mama is compared to Angela, but Angela views her as her elder. And so Angela is very, very respectful to Mama. And I would say she is on her best behavior with Michael in front of Mama too. So, Mama's definitely seen the good side of Angela for sure.
Yes, that's true. But now is the time for Angela to go help in the kitchen.
Yep, because she is said to be the most junior wife. Yes. She's like, what does that even mean? And they say, the youngest wife. And obviously, Angela is not the youngest wife.
Not the youngest wife.
Nope. She's the newest wife, but she is not the youngest wife.
Right. Which is why she tried to at first say a junior wife, not because she's clearly not the youngest wife, but she's the newest wife is you're right. That's what it is. So she's supposed to do all the cooking for everybody.
Yes.
And she's supposed to make their favorite dishes. Not just, don't be giving us chicken nuggets and mac and cheese. We want our favorite dishes.
Yeah. So it's because it's part of their culture. It shows that she's humble. It's a sign of humility. And I was like, oh, goodness, this is going to be a stretch for Angela. This is the reason why Angela doesn't want to do anything in Nigeria. She's like, let's get married and never come back.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll visit Mom every once in a while, but...
Let's go to the house where I can sit around and yell at everybody else how they need to respect me because I'm their elder. But not Michael. She's not Michael's elder, to be clear.
No, she's not Michael's elder. Oh, absolutely not. So Michael says that he will work and Angela has to do something, so she's going to cook. And it's like, did you all talk about this together? I don't know if Angela's gonna be okay being your domesticated housewife type, but that's the picture Michael was kind of painting.
Oh, I thought he was kind of painting he was gonna do, because he can't work right away, he was gonna be doing most of the housework. But he's like, but I'm not gonna do all the housework.
Right, but I think he's saying that when he works, that, she's going to have to do all the housework.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. So now they're sitting down to eat, and the family's like, talking about things, and they all think that the spousal visa should be the route that they're all, going. So they get Angela. If she could, looks could kill, everybody in Michael's family except for Mama would probably be dead. Because they tell her she's not getting any younger, and just the glare. She's just like, oh, excuse me? And just, through her eyes. They're saying they expect Michael to start a family soon.
Yes, they were, pushing him. They were they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing really and pushing. Did. It almost seemed like they were just trying to get a reaction. They're like, how far can we go before we get a reaction? Like her to because she was seething, but she wasn't doing her Angela yelling, hollering, ice, water throwing, Angela stuff, which is doesn't want to do in front of Mama.
Right. If this were the Goofballs, very different outcome.
Oh yeah, Goofballs would not have been treated with the same respect that she treated his family. For saying the exact same stuff. Because it finally comes to a head, and they actually kind of cut us off, and we don't see the full reaction. When one of Michael's, was it uncles? Was it one of his uncles?
Yes.
Was if the K1 visa doesn't come through, maybe he should start a family with somebody here.
Move on.
Yeah, just move on. And dump your ass.
Saying. If looks could kill, Angela would have killed everybody at that table.
And he said that with the biggest smile on his face.
Yes.
That was like, oh, no.
He was so proud of himself. This was an original idea.
Oh,
too funny.
We'll have to see how that goes, because I don't imagine that's going to go over very well.
Okay, so who do you want to talk about next?
Let's go to, let's do Robert and Anny.
Okay, Robert and Anny.
Ooh. Man. If you wanted me to like Robert better, the best thing you could do is introduce me to Kenny.
Oh my goodness. I was going to say, they're the same to me.
They're the same. No, they are. They really are the same.
Yeah,
they really are the same.
They really are the same. So if anything, it was just kind of like seeing Robert again. It's like Robert times 2. And it's like, oh yeah, I really don't like Robert.
That's true.
Kind of funny.
That's true.
Yeah. So Robert and Anny go out with Robin and Kenny. So Robin looks good. She's a very pretty lady.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like they go to a brewery.
But they Uber there, right?
Yes, maybe because they want to drink.
I guess. I don't know. It feels weird for Uber drivers to Uber places.
I wonder if they get some kind of discount or something, for using Uber services.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like he drives often.
Yeah, it almost seems like every time they go anywhere, he Ubers there. So I don't know if he gets, maybe he does get a discount. I don't know. But they go to see Kenny. Oh, and he does. I will give him this. He does give a good solid, because he gets out, and not only does he give the driver 4 stars, he out loud says, "I'm going to give you 4 stars."
That's not good. I thought 5 stars was the best.
Oh, whatever. Was it 5 stars? I thought it was 4 stars. All the stars.
Okay, I was gonna say, that's actually not good.
Whatever. I don't count how many stars there are, because I just always hit the biggest star. I don't count.
Oh yeah,
yeah. 3 or 4. It's just maybe he said 5 stars.
Some people are very weird about their Uber ratings.
No, that's people's jobs, especially because I know the way Uber works is if you drop below something like 4.5, you get put on probation. So
really?
Yes. Anything below 5 stars is a terrible review. I don't know why they have another system.
That's interesting. I don't actually go out of my way to review people. I think I may have given a low rating once, but I think it was justified in whatever it was. But I would say that as writers, people are very weird about their Uber ratings, because I heard something, and I don't know if this is just a rumor, that if Uber drivers see the customer's rating, they could choose whether or not to accept them in certain situations. And so people want higher ratings because then people will want to drive them around.
Yes. Yeah, I've heard that too.
I feel like a job's a job. If someone wants to give you a ride, they'll risk it. As long as you're not really low.
I guess. I don't know. It depends on the time of day too and stuff. I'm not taking a, but I don't know. Feel like if you had robbed an Uber driver,
Yeah, I actually have a really high Uber rating, but it's, I rarely ever use Uber at all. I usually use it just if I need to go to the airport, but I never use it just to get around out and about. I would say that my score is kind of almost unfair. The reason why my score is so high is because I'm an American Express Platinum card user, and just that automatically puts you at a higher score. So, I wasn't even really using Uber that much until I started, I got my American Express card, because they give you credits every month. and there's something, your score starts off at a certain threshold. I think it's like a 4.9 or something. So I didn't have to do much, and I had over a 4.9.
Interesting. But anyway, they go to this brewery. It looks like a brew house.
Yes.
To have a couple drinks with the whole family. And it was weird because, like, I didn't even catch what Robert was talking about. He's like, well, yeah, Kenny and I have the same dad, even though this other dad is another dad. He was like getting into like half sibling versus sibling whole family tree detail that I just did not follow along with.
I got the impression that Kenny is the older brother and he didn't grow up with them. Like, he didn't live in the same house. So I don't know which parent they shared, like, but I don't even know if Robin is really Robert's full sister either. They might even be half siblings, but maybe share the same mom. And so Robin and Robert grew up together because they shared the same mom. And then it sounded like Robert and Kenny shared the same dad. So so that would make it so Robin was not related to Kenny. Robert is their shared sibling.
Okay. That makes sense.
I think that's what I got from that.
All right. But, I don't know. Then the conversation does not start off well, and it doesn't get better at any point.
No, not at all. So Robin starts off by saying, Anny treats Robert good. That was nice. That was nice of her to defend Anny from the beginning. But then Kenny says he's worried. He's the older brother, and he's protective. He's skeptical of Anny.
He's skeptical. I think he's here for the green card. And Annie's like, but you know what? Robert lies to me. He made a lot of promises. Made a lot of promises, and it didn't keep. He promised we would have our own bedroom. He promised me clothes. And I don't know, and they both are infuriating. It's like, you expected that immediately? And I was like, well, yeah, when you told me not to bring clothes, I immediately expected to have clothes. Like, that's not a weird thing.
Yep, I am Team Anny on the clothes thing. If he tells you specifically not to, it makes it seem like you're going to have clothes already. This isn't like clothes 10 years from now. How's that help you now? I should have just brought my clothes. And I don't know why he told her not to bring her clothes. I almost wonder if this is really what it is. Because if Robert paid for the flight over and that she would have to have extra luggage and he didn't want to pay for like another checked bag situation. And so she's like probably talking to him about it like, oh, I'm going to bring like, 5 suitcases of things. And Robert's like, why are you going to bring 5 suitcases of things? She's like, well, I have to bring all my clothes. And then he'll probably say, oh, well, we'll just buy you some clothes when you're here. Don't bring all those clothes. I can so see that's how they got into that situation. Because especially, like, I don't know if you've ever had more than 2 check bags. And, and I'm talking about, okay, so you pay $50 per checked bag, right? Once you go past 2, it all of a sudden jumps up big time. Because when I moved from California to DC for a year, I had to have like an extra one, and like past, your given 2, it ended up being $150 per bag.
Right. Well, because at that point, they're like, it's going to be the same as if you shipped it. Like, yes, because that's what we're doing at this point. We're shipping your stuff across. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Robert's probably looking at this going like, $150 per bag? I'll just buy you new clothes for that price.
Right. That makes sense. But yeah, the weird things is that like, he promised me this and they're like, what, you expected to have it right away? I was like, yes.
Yeah.
He's 41 years old. Like, he ought to have a life put together. Like, if he's bringing me from another country to be here, he ought to have this put together already. It's not like I'm not asking a 23-year-old to have their entire life put together. I'm asking a 41-year-old to have room in a bed where I don't have to sleep with his kid. Like, that's not right. That's not a all-in-one step situation.
I do kind of wonder how much of this is like kind of fate, because Anny is not wearing the same thing every single time we see her. So it's not that she's completely void of clothes. She has clothes wherever they came from. And then the other thing I noticed too is, and I'm fast forwarding a bit here, when she walks out and is on her phone, she has an iPhone. So it's kind of like, well, she got the iPhone that she was asking for at the very beginning and like got all upset with him about, like, on the first couple episodes they were on. So it's kind of like, okay, and it's not like she's wearing the same old thing every single time. So it's like, well, are we just focusing on this, or are you really getting all the things that you say you're not getting? Now, the apartment thing, we know.
Right.
That's definitely not happening. But if it's only the apartment thing, and I get that it's a big thing, but it's kind of like, well, at least he's coming through with some of the other stuff.
True. That's true. The big lie was the lie that he said up until a month before she came, only said he had 3 kids.
Oh,
right?
Yes.
When in fact, he had 5 kids, to which Kenny's response is, well, I have 7 kids, so who gives a shit? Like, oh my God.
Gosh. Yeah. So Annie calls him out for being a liar. She says, oh, he's a liar. And she uses that as, like, her evidence.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was funny because Robin was about to, like, come, oh, how are you going to call my brother a liar? And she was like, he told me he had 3 kids and he had 5.
Yep.
And Robin was like, immediately stepped down and was like, oh. Well,
she was like, oh,
that's a lie.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that, but Kenny can.
Oh, my gosh.
Kenny with his 7 kids.
That's a terrible argument. I'm sorry.
And especially because, okay, so he says I have 7 kids, and she's like, what? And Robin's response is, yes, it runs in the family. And it's like, I don't think people have a genetic predisposition to not wearing condoms. That's not a thing.
Oh,
I
have no idea.
That's not a genetic inheritance thing.
Making dumb decisions. Yeah, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree on that one, I guess, according to Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So backing up a little bit, Annie asks if Kenny's going to go to the wedding, and then he gives a face, and Annie calls him out on it. And then what kind of upsets me about that is Robert doesn't say anything about it. He doesn't try to defend Annie or himself in this case because, I mean, Kenny's just basically not showing support for either one of them. And Robert's just kind of letting that happen.
Not even letting it happen. Robert was dabbing Kenny up like when he was trashing Annie. Like, that was beyond. Like, I totally get why she felt like she was being ganged up on.
She was. I mean, Robin was on Annie's side, though. I mean, she brings up that Annie does everything for them. Yeah, and, you know, she gives them everything. She does things for Bryson. You know, Annie isn't just, like, sitting around just taking. She's giving. So Robin brings that up and tries to defend Annie in some way. So that was kind of nice of her. So yes, in the end, Annie feels alone because basically the family ganged up on her. And Robert's talking like he doesn't love her. So Annie's really upset. She's outside crying on her iPhone, but you know.
On her iPhone. Well, I mean, we skipped the thing because, okay, so she started trashing them for having 5 and 7 kids.
Yeah.
I don't know. She kind of used disgusting, and it was like, yeah, I don't know if disgusting is the right word because, like, I don't know. I'm sure she's slept with 7 people. So it's not like, I can't believe you had so much sex, right?
Yeah.
But once she starts giving them a hard time, like, Kenny goes hard. And at one point, he says she might have been a streetwalker.
Oh, gosh.
Which is not a cool thing to say to your brother's fiance. I think you might have been a whore. That's not okay.
Right. Especially given that Robert's ex was a porn star as well.
Right.
At least the rumors are that she was involved as a sex worker, either as a stripper or porn star because her mom was a porn star.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was all kinds of levels of gross. And I'm kind of glad that Annie walked out when she did because it would have only gotten worse.
Right. Oh, goodness. Okay. We have Blake and Jasmin and Tania and Syngin left. Who do you want to talk about?
Let's go Blake and Jasmin.
Okay. Usually we have them at the beginning.
I know.
Because we usually are they're like a throwaway couple. You know, you have a couple things to say about them. But there was a lot that kind of went on.
There was. And I feel like I don't have enough information. Like, I feel like this was total production could have, like, put us on somebody's side or put us against somebody's side. But there's a lot of missing information that would make me decide whose side I'm on here.
Okay, that's interesting. So you would say you are neither Team Blake or Team Jasmin?
Yes, I am Team not enough information.
Okay, I am very firmly Team Blake.
Okay.
Yes, I have very, very strong feelings against Jasmin.
I agree, but based on what we saw on the episode, if we're just going with that, not like, you know, kind of hedging about what production is and isn't showing you, I definitely thought Blake came off better than Jasmin.
Okay, sure. So let's get started with Everett, who we've seen is Blake's best friend. It's his birthday. And so Everett's plan is to have a more intimate birthday dinner with just a small subset of friends. And then from there, they're all going to go out. And then that's where he's just going to invite everybody, you know, maybe his industry contacts. And that's like more of the, you know, inclusive birthday outing. So Blake is trying to get Jasmin all ready to go to the dinner part. So they're getting ready for the pre-party. They keep on referring to it as the pre-party.
So that's one of the things I didn't know is what I wanted more details about what this pre-party is, because the way Blake made it sound at first is that it was, you know, a dinner. We would sit down, we'll have a steak and, you know, things. We'll have conversation and laugh before we go out. But I don't know, it seems like later they meant literally a pre-party, like you were in college and everybody was doing shots in the dorm room before we left.
He did keep on referring to it as pre-party, but my interpretation of that was they were just going to be drinking at dinner. I don't know. That was my interpretation.
Yeah, so but that was my first need more information about is what specifically this pre-party entailed. Because if it was, you know, like I said, if, you know, people having a couple glasses of wine while they had a nice meal, yes, definitely Team Blake. If it was, you know, people doing Jaeger shots for an hour before they went out to the club, shading toward Team Jasmin.
Okay, so I guess the other thing in this, I didn't even think about this, but you made me question it, is maybe the pre-party was like a dinner at Everett's house.
Right.
And so if that's the case, then the pre-party really would be a pre-party, you know, like, because they would be at someone's house, like, drinking beforehand. Okay, but getting back to what is going on in the show, Jasmin asks Blake if he's gonna go like this. So Blake is wearing some kind of like long sleeve white t-shirt with some kind of screen print on it. Looks like an 8-ball, some kind of weird font that I couldn't even read what it said.
I'm sure it's some label that I've never heard of or wouldn't care to hear about, and just whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and some gym pants. And Blake's like, yeah, why wouldn't I?
See, that made me think it was not at a restaurant, but it was at somebody's house.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's LA. People dress like that. I mean, that's not that weird.
Yeah, you guys don't wear ties to work.
Yeah, so she already is like, oh, I don't want to go to this birthday dinner. Let's just have dinner, the two of us. And she says that the most important part is the going out. So the big soiree with everybody, not the birthday dinner. So, you know, it's okay if we skip that part.
Right. Which Blake kind of didn't agree with. He was like, no, the dinner would only with like when it's the intimate part with just his closest friends. That's the important part. Like, he wouldn't even notice if I skipped the big party.
Right. I kind of agree with Blake on that too, because it's like if you missed a small dinner, like, you're gonna know someone's gone. Like, when you're talking about a big party, it's like, they might remember. Since it's your best friend, you probably would notice at some point. But it's not like you're gonna be with them the entire time, like talking with them. And my thought is, why does she even care? Doesn't she not want Blake to talk to her when she's eating anyway? So why does she care about eating dinner with him? Like, I don't know. That just seems so weird. But Blake gives in. They go to a dinner, just the two of them, where Blake orders a wine slushie, and that just sets Jasmin off.
Yeah, you know the rules. You know the rules. No kissing.
Right. Jasmin kind of justifies, like, why, you know, she wanted to go to dinner. She says it's more important that they spend time together because they're more important than him going out with his friends.
Okay, that brings me to the other more information that I need is how often does this happen? Like, how often do they go out together versus how often does Blake go out with his friends? Like, is this like day 6 in a row of Blake going out with his friends? And she's like, could we like please go to dinner once? Or is it like they're both sitting around their respective apartments all the time, not doing anything? Two scenarios that are with Jasmin. That's the first one. Blake goes out with his friends literally every night, right? And she just wants one time. Or B, Blake never wants to leave the house and they don't do anything. He doesn't do anything unless his friend invites him. And then he goes and hops and does that and never does anything with Jasmin.
Interesting. Well, it does seem like since Jasmin's living at Blake's parents' house, that maybe it's the case where, you know, Blake's mom is always cooking for them because we've already seen that she cooks. And so she's always cooking for them. They probably are always having food with Blake's parents. And so maybe that is the case where Jasmin and Blake never have dinner by themselves.
True.
But at the same time, so I get it, you know, you want your alone time. But, like, birthdays should be exceptions. You know, these are things that happen once a year. Like, this is he said multiple times, this is his best friend. So it's his best friend's birthday. So you just gotta chill for that one night. Like, pick and choose your battles. Like, yes, pick another night that he wants to go out with his friends.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like they're communicating. Like, Like, it should have been ahead of time, listen, you want to go out all week? Could you like pick any one of the days and not go out? Like, instead of being like at the last minute, no, this is the day where you can't go out.
Right. So Jasmin tells him that he can have one drink for the night because he doesn't need alcohol to have fun. And I was like, heck yeah, you do. I mean, at least in that scenario, I know what he's talking about.
With those friends. Like, yeah, no. Yeah, totally.
If you're going out in a big group like that and you're at a bar, like, and I can, as someone who didn't drink really until I was like 25, I would say, and it's not because like I just didn't like drinking. I'd never really been drunk before. It was just like alcohol tasted not so good to me. So I was one of those people where I kind of thought like, well, I personally don't need alcohol to have fun. So I used to go out with my friends all the time and like I would be the DD, like it wasn't a big deal. But
right.
As someone who now drinks, it is way more fun when you've been drinking. And it's even like, I would argue that it's sometimes depending on the crowd, like when you go out, it's like, I need to be like drinking for this scenario right now. I cannot handle this scenario stone sober.
Oh, drunk people are way more intolerable if you're sober. Like, if everybody's drunk, drunk people are a lot more fun when you're drunk. And if everybody else is going to be drunk, then yes. Like, yes, it is possible to have fun not drinking, but it's not really feasible for most people to have fun going out drinking and not drinking.
Yeah, very true. According to Jasmin, Blake is drinking and not paying attention to her. So now Jasmin is mad about the drinking, so now she wants to go home. So she wants to skip the birthday entirely. And she doesn't really care what Blake is doing. Blake can go to the party. He can not go to the party. She doesn't care. She all knows that she's going home. Well, she wants to go to her sister's place.
Yeah, not even home. She doesn't want to go back to Blake's parents.
Right. At this point, I think she's just acting like a straight-up bitch. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, yeah.
She's not my favorite at this point.
That's the second last-minute bail. That's not her. I mean, yeah, it is one thing. Yeah, because like I said, if we go by just what the show is showing us, then yeah. Like, she's totally being unreasonable. To be like, you can suck it up for one night and hang out with these friends. Like, that's a sacrifice you should be able to make for someone you're going to marry. It does not have to be your way every single night.
I just think it's so selfish of her for basically trying to guilt Blake into going to this birthday party and trying to take him away from his friends. And then what she says is that she doesn't care if it looks bad for the friends that she's not going. She doesn't give a crap.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't give a crap about people who I'm intending on never being part of my life. I don't care what they think about me. Obviously, I wouldn't. Why would I care?
And so then she says he's ruining her mood.
But it seems like her mood was pretty much already ruined. She didn't have much of a mood to start with.
I feel like her mood is, at least what she expresses, is pretty much the same all the time.
Right.
So
which comes up with the sister. So she says that that they're always doing, and that was the question I had, is how much time are they doing these things? Because she's always having to do Blake stuff, which she calls bars and rampages. Yes. And I was like, did she mean raves? Like, is that what she was going for?
I don't really know what she was. Yeah, definitely lost in translation, because at this point she's speaking Finnish to her sister. So everything is just translated subtitles at this point. And yeah, so she did say some things that I think were kind of lost in translation a bit. But she is opposed to his drinking and acting ridiculous. And it just seems like you just can't push her to do anything. Blake is really trying to convince her to go to this party. She is not about it. You can tell she is just stubborn. She's not. You're not going to change her mind. So she goes to her sister's place, and oh my goodness, what does her sister do in LA? Because her place is really, really nice. It is so nice for an LA apartment. Are you kidding me? Like, that place is probably super expensive for rent. Like, unless they're surrounded by a super shady area, and this is like some random nice building in the middle of like just the hard part of LA, like, that has got to be a really expensive place.
Interesting.
Yeah. But the sister gives good advice.
Yeah, the sister basically gives the advice that, you know, we would all give her, is like, listen, you have to give him something sometimes. Like, you have sometimes you have to just do it, even though you don't want to do it for him. That's part of the deal.
Well, I think the advice that she gave that I think, like, I mean, she was not like, oh, you did wrong, or she wasn't like, I think she handled Jasmin really, really well. She's like, oh, I understand. Like, why would you want to do that? Like, I get it.
And you shouldn't have to do things you don't want to do. Yeah.
Right. But she says, but at the same time, you should consider others, which I thought was like really good advice that framed that way. Jasmin is more likely to be like, okay, maybe I should consider others. But yeah, so then here's where the whole Finnish conversation happens. And some things are said that you're kind of like, she says he's a daredevil. I was like, okay, what does that mean?
I don't know. She's super judgy. Like,
yeah,
you ever hear people that don't drink that say they don't judge other people that drink, but totally judge other people that drink?
I don't even think she would say that. I think she would, she wouldn't even bother saying she doesn't judge people who drink. She's like, oh yeah, I judge people who drink. I feel like she would embrace that image. Yeah. He doesn't consider the stuff that she suggests. She just wants to do like yoga, meditation, things like that. And it's just like, okay, this very much shows that they're not a good match. Right. Regardless of what she says. She says, oh, well, he's pretty outgoing, which compliments me because I'm not so outgoing. So she thinks they're a good match in the sense that opposites attract.
But that only works if you need somebody, you know, I totally get the person who's a little more reserved and you have the outgoing partner that like brings them out of their shell. But he's not bringing her out of her shell.
Oh,
like
no,
he's just banging on that shell and she's staying inside of it. So it's not really like, you know, that's not really a compliment so much it is friction.
Right. And then she says that Finns are calmer and that they don't show emotions. I was like, that's why you seem so robotic.
Right.
And I would say her sister seems less robotic than her, so I think like she can't really put it on being Finnish. Her sister's Finnish too.
No, but her sister is still very flat.
Yeah.
Like she's less flat than Jasmin, but still very flat. It's not like, you know, she wasn't like talking with her hands and being expressive. They calmly talk about what they want to say.
Yeah.
And it was in Finnish, but it was like all, not monotone necessarily, but very close, all even, no highs, no lows, everything just.
Right. But in the end, she resolves that Blake needs to make her a priority.
Right, but she's not making Blake a priority.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's what we get to. It's both ways.
Yeah, agreed. So we'll kind of see how that goes. I think the spoiler for them is that they are married, though, so...
Yes, right. Yeah, I think, yes. Yes, I believe I heard that as well.
Right. It'll be interesting to see how long they stay together, though.
Right.
Because I think it's one of those things where I could see them both getting married. Yeah, right. But it's like, when do the opposites attract? Or, you know, the whole part of you being opposites, when does that stop being interesting?
Sure.
All right. Last up, I think we have is Tania and Syngin.
Tania and Syngin, who, praise the Lord, is not wearing her fuchsia top.
Oh my gosh. I don't even think I noticed.
If it was, you would have noticed it. No, she's wearing like a plaid, like...
Oh, right. The button-up.
The button-up with a black shirt underneath it.
It's like a short sleeve button-up, yes.
Yeah.
So Syngin starts off by saying, we had like a heated discussion. And he definitely is minimizing what happened on the ride over. So he said he's ready to forgive and move on. He doesn't need to feel hatred. He says he's not going to forget it, but, you know, he's just like, I just don't need that negative energy in my life.
I don't need to live with the hatred.
Yeah, so instead we're going to have an astrological reading to cleanse our auras.
Oh!
I don't actually know if that's the point of that.
Oh, I didn't say cleanse our auras, but
that falls in line with it.
I would break up with someone immediately. If they were like, you need to call your mom and find out the exact time you were born for our astrological reading, I'd be like, well, this relationship's over. And I will see you later. I will go back to South Africa. That is not happening.
But Syngин's kind of a hippie, too. Like, he's on board with this.
No, he actually was. So, to be fair.
Yeah, okay. I don't really know who Tania is, I guess. I haven't really figured her out as a person. Like, she tries to be this whole activist, and I guess maybe more of the hippie activist, because then I can see the astrology kind of falling in line with that. But I feel like the activist nowadays is more people of science, and that kind of goes against her astrology thing.
Yeah, so and I don't want to like jump too much into it because we have, you know, other people that are there. She definitely strikes me as someone who would be an anti-vaxxer. We just don't know what these chemicals are, but you're putting into bodies, and we could naturally do things, and there is that strain of activist. There is that strain. She definitely believes in healing crystals. Like, it's
sure.
So
she's not the science activist. She's more of the goddamn hippie activist.
Yeah. They everyone is there and everyone is good and we should respect the energy of the universe. And yeah, just not, because it is like there tends to be, anti-vaxxers go across the political spectrum. It's not it's not really aligned with either, liberals or conservatives or anything like that. It just kind of is. But I don't know. It's very much the energy of the universe type things. But we have to sit through our astrological reading.
From the Afromystic, Daisy.
Daisy October. Daisy with the Z.
Goodness. Yeah.
Daisy October.
I was like, I've never even heard of an Afromystic before.
I don't know. I don't know. I can't.
Yeah. But she says the relationship will be exciting and spontaneous. It's like, well, yeah. I don't think we need an Afromystic to say that.
Oh, but didn't you need an Afromystic to tell you that the man in the relationship probably thinks sex is important? Did you? That's a very unique relationship dynamic, Miss H. They had to tell us that.
Yep. So she says it's going to be a priority, sex, and that they are going to try fight each other? Barbs? Throw barbs?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's how she says it.
She said fucking and fighting.
Yeah, right. She says they're going to have unnecessary hurt is going to be thrown at each other, but the soul brings them together. Their personality keeps them together.
This is very specific relationship advice. I don't know why we don't believe in astrology. Like this does not apply to every relationship ever. Just
right.
Because the most important thing is that truth and honesty are going to be important for them because, again, very specific. But anyway, right. Syngin.
But it doesn't matter because of the feelings, right? So Syngin says that he feels they have such a strong connection. And so then, the conversation of soulmates comes about. And then Tania then admits that she doesn't feel like she has the full soulmate feeling. But she does say that he was meant to be the father of her children. She feels that. She
feels that, but not the full soulmate feeling, which, that's a bit like, Mike and Natalie with the not saying I love you, right? It's like, oh, I thought we had the full soulmate feeling, and it's not there. And then she makes it worse.
So much worse.
It says she feels like her actual soulmate was her first love that she broke up with.
I was like, what the hell? Why would you say that? That was so unnecessary.
What?
Oh my gosh. But she was okay walking away from him, which I was like, what was the point in saying that? She's like, oh, I knew that was my soulmate, but I was okay breaking up with him. It's like, all right, so?
Yeah, my soulmate was somebody that I shouldn't be with. It's like, isn't that like against the definition of soulmate? I don't know what she meant, but then she tries to explain it and it makes no sense. Like, she just uses new agey words put together.
So Tania thinks that soulmates means your life is intertwined. So she's trying to justify it by kind of, trying to come up with a new definition for soulmate to not offend Syngin.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so then Syngin just basically says, that's bullshit. It's like, I need my space. Get away from me. I need to process this.
Yeah. I need a break. Yeah. I need a break. I'm going to go process this. He goes, okay.
I know. How can you unhear that or recover from that? So if your partner says something like that, it's like, game over. Like, what are you doing?
Right. Oh. Like, I'm not one who, I'm not one who believes in the whole soulmate dynamic. So, I mean, the whole thing, I would have been rolling my eyes at the whole thing, so it would have been a little bit different. But Syngin clearly does buy into the soulmate dynamic.
And Tanya's supposed to be his, so... he's got some soulmate triangle going on here. Okay, so even though I personally don't believe in soulmates, I would be incredibly upset and hurt that if my partner who does believe in soulmates says that he had a soulmate and it was not me. So, I mean, regardless if I believe in it or not, it's like if your partner's saying that they do, how do you recover from that?
All right. Like, if you believe in soulmates, I'm not your soulmate.
Yes.
Why are we even together? I don't understand.
Go be with your soulmate then. Oh my goodness. So they're all saying, truth, honesty, brutal truth, or sweet truth. That's the most important. So that's why Tania felt a need to have to tell him about, this soulmate business.
I don't know. There's certain things that are truth that aren't a helpful truth and really isn't a thing. Like, for example, if she had a crazy sex dream about her ex, she does not need to tell Syngin about that. That's not something that needs to happen. It's the truth, but just because it's the truth doesn't mean it needs to be freely shared for no reason.
Oh Oh, goodness. Okay, one thing I want to say is, so Syngin is, like, shown kind of pouting in the she shed, and, Tanya has to peek in and be like, can we talk now kind of situation? No. He's not ready. But if you looked, things are starting to look a little cleaner up in the she shed and the surrounding areas. I mean, they're not, like, to my standard clean, but things are definitely getting decluttered, and I was like, okay, improvement is being made. It looks like things are getting clean here.
Right, which is frustrating because they've been there for like 2 months, and I feel like one good weekend and you could take care of that she shed.
Right? And I would even argue more than 2 months, because I feel like she didn't just get back from Costa Rica, so it's like, it's getting really close. True. Like, it's been maybe 70, 80 days at this point.
Mm-hmm. And because they were just talking about cleaning it up. They're not even, like, re-drywalling it or anything like that. It's just, like,
get rid of the crap. It's really about just, like, okay, let's take all this to the trash, or the dump, the curb, whatever. Like, just clear out the stuff. Oh, goodness. Yeah. All right. I think that's all the couples, right?
That was all the couples, indeed. That was all the couples, yes.
Who did you have for Student of the Week?
How did you pronounce it? Kuzi?
What
Juliana's friend that made the video?
Us? I had her too. That is so weird. Yes. Okay. Part of it was that I struggled, and maybe you did too, with even finding anyone who was remotely decent this week. I feel like everyone is just that's being terrible. True.
Everybody was trash. Yeah. I didn't like anybody. I mean, well, either I didn't like them or they were like barely in it. Like Michael and Juliana. Michael was
like he didn't do anything to like be good.
I'll be honest. I came really, really close, or at least I thought about giving it to Angela, but that would have been graded on a heavy curve. like she was really good compared to normal Angela.
I mean, the second half buying gifts, that was kind of nice.
Yeah. The gifts, and she seemed to really care for Mama, and like she didn't lose her shit when people were were going after her in the family dinner.
Yeah, but if it had been anyone else, you'd been like, no, right?
Exactly. Yeah, right.
I'm trying to think. I guess maybe I could give it to Robin. I thought it was really nice that she actually stuck up for Anny when it seemed that Kenny and Robert were kind of going in on her. So she was trying to defend, and bring up the points that Anny, does good for the family, that she's taking care of Bryson, that she's, like, positively contributing. She's not just sitting there demanding money for doing nothing. She's helping out. She's basically, like, the bang nanny who doesn't get paid, either in sex or money.
Right.
So it's like...
Or money. Right. I mean, we've been saying bang nanny, but at this point, she's really just nanny.
Unpaid nanny.
She's
slave labor.
Unpaid nanny. Yeah, the banging isn't happening.
Nothing is happening, really, in forms of any kind of payment. So, I guess I will give mine to Robin, just based on her defending Anny. Okay, what about your dunce?
All right. So I have one, and then I have an alternate if you pick the same one, because I know it's like shooting fish in a barrel, but it's Tanya.
Okay. Mine was not Tanya, so go ahead.
Okay, good. I just could not handle, first of all, the dragging the entire astrology thing just put me like, knocked me on my side. And then just to be so dumb. To be like, to say, you're not my soulmate. And like, it was one thing to be like, I'm not sure. I don't know if I've got the energy to my soulmate to be, but then to just be like, oh no, my ex was my soulmate. That was my soulmate. My ex. Yeah. Like, oh my God, that's so dumb.
Not good. So my dunce was Jasmin. It's just like, she does not give two shits about making any kind of effort. Regardless if she loves Blake or not. I am not questioning whether she's in love with Blake. But it's like she makes no effort to make him happy. And just based on that, it's like she needs to get with it. That relationships are not just one-sided, and that you are sometimes going to have to put yourself out there. And I understand that she's saying that Blake doesn't put himself out there for her, like in terms of doing yoga or meditation or things like that. But, to go back on her word of saying that she was going to go to this party... just because she was like, oh, Blake's drinking, blah, blah. It's like, if you don't like that, Blake is going to be drinking a lot. And maybe this just isn't a good match,
Right. Right.
You don't have to deal with
That's
it
true.
if you don't want to, but don't just be in it just to live, 10 minutes away from your sister for a green card.
Mm-hmm. All right, so what about your life lesson?
Okay, so my life lesson goes along with Tania and Syngin. So whether or not you believe in soulmates, it's not a good idea to tell your current partner that a previous partner was really your soulmate.
Jesus. I just can't even.
Yeah, right?
Why would you do that?
I don't know.
Oh.
She needs to listen to our podcast then, apparently, and learn these life lessons.
I know. Okay, so my life lesson's a little bit less intense, let's say. And it goes to Michael and Juliana, and it's that aspirational clothes don't work. Like, you will never gonna lose the weight to fit into your aspirational clothes.
Gosh.
Just make more room in your closet.
I know, right? I have jeans. I feel like everybody has the aspirational jeans. I think in my life, I've been able to fit it all of 1 week of my entire life. But I don't know why I keep these jeans. It's just dumb because, I mean, they're not even like trendy jeans anymore. They're like the super flare jeans. Nobody wears those anymore.
Whenever you bought them,
yeah,
they'll come back. Just hold on to them. They'll come back.
Yes, because
it's cyclical.
Right, but by the time they come back, I'm definitely not going to be able to fit in them.
You're definitely not going to fit into them.
So it's like I just get rid of them.
I had a T-shirt that I had for a little while that I kept, and it was like I really liked it. I liked the design, but it was like at some point I realized it wasn't just the width around that didn't fit; it was also the height.
Oh gosh!
It's like if I pick up my arms, I'm like, this isn't going to work.
That's definitely not aspirational. Were you aspiring to get shorter?
Yeah. Yeah, my aspiration was like maybe this shirt will magically get bigger and fit my abnormally long torso.
Oh, well, one thing you can do depending on like what kind of material it is, if you spritz it with a little bit of water and then like iron it and like iron it to stretch. Sometimes that works in stretching out some stuff, but it depends on the kind of material.
I have a really long torso.
Maybe I would only give so much give, like it's not gonna all of a sudden become triple in size.
Exactly.
Or anything.
If it only comes down to my belly button, I need a lot too much stretch.
Yeah. Okay, so we will be continuing with our classic this Thursday. We are on episodes 7 and 8.
This was 5 and 6 this week.
5 and 6 this week. I think
5 and 6, which means we have 3 more. That means 3 more classic episodes to be finished up this season. And then after that, we're gonna stop the classic episodes so we can start our new Love After Lockup podcast, which is gonna be on a different stream. So we will link that when it's available, so everybody who wants to subscribe to that one can subscribe to that one.
Yes, and it also will be released on a different day, so it won't be coming out on Thursday. We're still working out, what schedule works best for us, and so we'll figure it all out. But I know not everybody in the 90 Day Fiance world watches Love After Lockup, but if you get WeTV, you may want to check it out. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of people who watch Love After Lockup watch 90 Day Fiance and vice versa. It definitely appeals to the same demographic of people. Yep. Interesting stuff. All right. So until then.
All right. We'll see everybody then. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.